G'day and welcome back to the Upside Fantasy Sports podcast. We are here to talk matchup analysis for the upcoming weekend, which is round 22 in the National Rugby League. Say it every potty, but we're at the pointy end, so these matchups mean a lot for pickups, starts, VCs, and Cs. So let's just get straight into it because we've got a bit to cover off with the full round here. Just before I kick into the matchups, just want to thank everyone who tuned in to last week's statistical matchup analysis. 137 views when I took this screenshot yesterday. That's awesome for me. That makes me really happy. That's pretty organic. I think I linked it like on Twitter and maybe some group in Facebook. So while that doesn't convert to subscribers, I'm not growing in that direction too rapidly. That's just awesome that I'm giving insight to 130 plus people to help them try and win their league. So yeah, that makes me really happy, and I really appreciate it if you viewed, and anyone who clicks like or comments, that means a lot, guys. Thank you so much for doing that. I know there's a lot of you that consistently do that, and it really helps us, helps me out and helps me justify the amount of effort and work I put in. So thanks again for that. Yeah, it means a lot. And on that, actually last week, that was pretty bang on. I think Roger had 70 plus, not perfect, but it's okay for a VC. And then Nath obviously converted on the matchup. And you could say that's obvious, but the data was screaming it. And we all capitalized. So I had a C on Nath in all three of my main comps: draft, classic, fantasy, you name it. So pretty happy with that one. So let's move on. The next thing is just a reminder. I've actually got a website where I have a bunch of different stuff. The website always has my latest YouTube video there, like if you're stuck or whatever and you're looking for that. I doubt that's the case for most people. Obviously you'd be subscribed or whatnot, but you can just quickly see there's the menu. I got a lot of basketball content. I got a lot of NRL Supercoach content, but most importantly, I've got some auction stuff and draft ideas. So I don't update that too regularly, but it's just a nice home base if you're looking for extra content. So just a reminder to favorite and bookmark that website, and each preseason for Dynasty Basketball and NRL, make sure you're checking that website out because you'll have my latest rankings and stuff on there. Okay, game one, Thursday night. So tomorrow night is Tigers Cowboys. It's pretty grim for the Tigers. I'm going to run through their side, the major callouts. We've got right winger, has a great matchup. Charlie Staines, I think that is. I'm not bothered. Left centre, good matchup. Right half, good matchup. Right 2RF, neutral. Front row is neutral. Then it's bad and poor for everyone else. So bad for the hooker, bad for the left 2RF, and bad for the fullback. Would I still play Samuel Afinu? I probably would. I'm considering playing him over Terrell May. I'm not bothered by the matchup because he's always so close to scoring an attacking stat like an offload or a line break assist. So I'm just playing him. Yeah, he'll get me somewhere between 40 and 50 in that regular work, and he only needs one of those things to hit to go 55 plus, which is fine in my front row. I like that he plays 80 minutes. He could even fall over for a meaty. I know the bad matchups there, but yeah, I'm not over analyzing it for a guy like Samuela who doesn't have much upside anyway. The Tigers are dominant in the middle because that's just where they score with them big guys and their hooker and stuff. So yeah, they're not too exciting. For the Cowboys, probably a little more interesting. They run their good matchup down to the very bottom. So even Drinky, who doesn't have the best matchup you'd think against the Tigers, he still has a good matchup. The banger matchups are with Kyle Felt at the right wing, both halves, the left centre and the left wing, so Holmes and Tuolangi, and then right to RF Nanai elite matchup. So that's just elite. Like all those edge players and halves are just stacked. It's weird that Drinky only has a good matchup, but watch Drinky have a hand in a lot of that. He's going to have a big night. Locke has a good matchup too, so it's only the left to RF that has a poor matchup, and even then, ignoring it. It's just a massive discrepancy in favour of the Cowboys too. They've been defending really well, which is weird, Cowboys, from a Supercoach perspective, and obviously scoring pretty well. They're quite balanced, Cowboys, so if you've got one, you fire them up against Tigers, obviously. Next game, for the Warriors, it's the Warriors versus Eels, Warriors, the key call-outs: left half, gun matchup; left centre, gun matchup; right winger, elite matchup; fullback, elite matchup; right to RF, great matchup; left winger, great matchup. Bad matchups for the front rowers, but ignoring that because AFB and Barnett, they're matchup proof, or whoever else is playing hooker, playing front row. I think Barnett's gone back to the middle, so yeah, they're sweet. Hooker, tough matchup, Egan, but I'd be firing him up. It's tiny metric in favor of the Eels. Don't sort of know why that's the case, just on base. The teams are just both kind of weird. Both are kind of crap Supercoach defenders. Warriors have been pretty mediocre in scoring in Supercoach too. So yeah, I think just double check which wing Yeah, right wing's Dallin, and left wing, great matchup for Roger. So if you've got Roger the Dodger, you're loving that he's on a wing a little more base, and then he has that upside here in the matchup. For the Eels, left to RF, Sean Lane, gun matchup. Front rowers, elite. Hooker, elite. Left half, RC, elite. Great matchup for the right half. Dylan Brown, poor matchup, right centre. Neutral matchup, right winger and left centre. So you're firing up your Eels and your Warriors because I think there could be some Supercoach and NRL points on offer here early on Friday. Game 3 on Friday night. Should be a banger, but it's probably going to be pretty lopsided. That's borne out in the overall discrepancy, which is much in favour of the Roosters with a huge 33.23, one of the highest discrepancies we've seen in ages. It's grim as for the Finns, who I'll start with. Left to RF, great matchup. And then it's bad or neutral. So neutral for the left winger and the right centre. Poor for the right half. Locks have tough matchup. Hooker has tough matchup. Bad for Hammer. Bad for the right to RF. Bad for the tough for the right winger. Pretty grim there. They're dominant down their left, but quite balanced in the way they score across the park. The Finns, for the Roosters, right half gun matchup, left winger gun matchup, elite matchup, left to RF, great matchup, front rowers, great matchup, left half, poor matchup, right centre, neutral matchup, lock, and neutral matchup, left centre. I'm ignoring that poor matchup for Joey Manu. The only issue you'd have with Joey Manu is a combination of potentially that poor matchup and does his return from the wrist injury impact his performance and make him a little hesitant to fend off and run aggressively? If he doesn't run, he just creates some passes. So yeah, this is a big game for the Roosters, boys. I'll be firing up with confidence. Teddy doesn't pop up there, so just because I know a lot of people are interested in Teddy, get the specifics. Yeah, he's got a good matchup. He's fine to go. It's not elite or great, but he's definitely all good. Teddy, you'd be confident playing him. Yeah. Even the poor matchup for, statistically speaking, for Manu's not that bad. It's at the upper end, so I think he's okay. That one. Game 4, Titans Broncos. For the Titans, it's a gun matchup for the right to RF, which should be Beau Fermor. Left winger, elite. Left centre, great. Right centre, great. Hooker, good. Left half, good. Right wing, tough. Left to RF, poor. Front row, poor. But again, ignoring that, David Fafita, I'm not bothered by a matchup for him. So yeah, if you're relying on him for a VC or a captaincy, yeah, proceed with confidence. Big discrepancy in favour of the Titans, which also helps, and they're dominant down the left, which is Fafita's side, obviously. For the Broncos, great matchup, fullback. Good matchup for the left to RF, the right centre, and the left centre. Neutral matchup for the lock. Poor matchup for the left half, and overall it's pretty grim for the Bronx. Left winger, right half, and right winger, all bad matchups. You're probably still playing your Bronx halves. It is still the Titans, guys, so like they have been defending okay, believe it or not, Supercoach wise, but they're the Titans. It's in their DNA. I'm not convinced just yet, so I don't trust the Broncos. I don't trust the Titans necessarily, but if I've got Supercoach relevant players, I'm firing them up in this one. There's just quite a big discrepancy in favor of the Titans, and I think it should bear out in some Supercoach scoring, much like that Warriors game earlier. Broncos are more dominant down the middle of the field for their scoring. Guys, Storm Dragons are game 5. Pretty nasty stuff here for the Dragons, but good for the Storm. So a run of elite matchups that starts with the left to RF, Sean Bloor, fullback Ryan Papenhuyzen, who I think presents as an awesome BC on Saturday night before Cleary on the next day. I think that's right. Game 5. Yeah, before Cleary the next day. That's right. So more than confident in going for Papenhuyzen if I'm relying on him. I think he's a good VC against the Dragons. We saw how much Dane Laurie carved them up, and they might bounce back, but I'm not confident enough to say that when the matchup's there in the data, and I saw just how good the eye test was for Dane Laurie before he went off, which was heartbreaking. So fullback, lock, right half, left to RF. So Jerome Hughes with the elite matchup. Right centre, great matchup. Hooker, great matchup, Harry Grant. Left centre, bad. Right winger, poor. Left winger, neutral. So it's really good for the Storm overall. Big discrepancy in favour of them with the 15 there. Dragons, right winger, elite matchup. Great matchup for the left to RF and the lock, and then it gets grim. We've got neutral for the right to RF, poor for the hooker in the left half, and then it's bad for the left centre, fullback, front rowers, and a bunch of others. It is really grim. Right right winger, which you see up the top, if that's what's his face. That should be Lomax. So yeah, proceed in playing Lomax, even though the Storm are pretty good. Game 6, Sharks Rabbitohs. Elite matchup for the hooker for the Sharks. Front rowers have great matchups. Left centre, great matchup. Then good matchup for the right half, Atkinson, and the right winger over there, Katoa. That's good for Ero. Play Ero if he's a sit-start decision for you guys on that left centre. Right centre, bad matchup, but I'm playing Ramian. Right to RF, tough matchup, but I'm playing Nikora. Lock, tough matchup, but I'd be playing McInnes. Yeah, noteworthy discrepancy in favour of the Sharks. I think the Rabbitohs, they just sliding a little bit in that defence that we saw for a few weeks there. The Sharks are dominant down their left edge and their right edge. They don't score as much in the middle as a lot of these other teams. Yeah, Sharks left and right, dominant. For the Rabbitohs, great matchup for the lock, Keon Kolomatangi, so he keeps on rolling. Great matchup for the left centre, Tane Milne, who, yeah, whatever. Neutral matchup, it gets really grim here. Neutral matchup for the right winger, right to RF front rowers. Bad for the left winger, right half, tough for the right centre. So pretty much an avoid for most of your bunnies if you can afford it. The bunnies are dominant in the middle and down the left. So that sort of pivoted a bit, you see, from I think White and getting his hands on the ball a bit, AJ before he went down, scoring a few tries, and Milne providing pretty solid stats there. So it has shifted a bit when they were dominant down their right for a while there, the bunnies. And you notice for the Sharks, that left edge just popped into their dominant side when they were all right originally. So you can see that the balance has come back with Ero having some upside and Mulatalo still crossing. So Trindle running the show, starting to bring that dominance back across to his side. Game 7, Panthers Knights. Yeah, it's looking pretty solid for some Panthers boys. We've got right centre gun matchup, that's Tungo. Fullback gun matchup for the debutant. Left centre, McLean elite matchup. Left half, great matchup. Right 2RF, great matchup. Right half, great matchup. So the three, the half, the 2RF and the centre there on the right edge of the Panthers having all that dominance, that is scary for the Knights. I mean, Hastings has been dropped, so you could get a bit of a shore up there, but I mean, it goes Hastings, KPP, Lucas, that's not too bad. But then Marju, yeah, you're just firing Cleary up full captain here. No stress. It's the Knights. They just haven't been much chop. Massive discrepancy in favour of the Panthers. For the Panthers too, left to RF has a bad matchup, but ignore it. Lock, bad matchup, but ignore it. Hooker, neutral matchup, not bothered. They're really balancing their scoring, as we saw on the weekend or the weekend before. They score everywhere. Cleary just masterclass. For the Knights, great matchup for Ponga, which is really interesting. Great matchup for the left winger, Marju, which is interesting. I probably will sit him personally with the options I've got. Like, I'd play Ero over Marju just because at least I know the base for Ero is pretty solid and he only needs one bit of upside to go 80 plus. So Hooker, great matchup too, but most people won't be overly relying on Brayley. Neutral matchup for the front rowers, poor matchup for the left centre, bad matchup for the right half, right centre, and left half for the Knights. So yeah, avoiding most Knights, I'd be playing Ponga though, because even though the Panthers are really good, they've got quite a makeshift backline this week. I'm not too intimidated by the Panthers being some defensive juggernaut this weekend. I think they'll dominate, but I think if anyone's going to do well, it could be Ponga. So, you know, we had a question last night, Spotty, about Ponga or CNK. It's Ponga for me because I have a thing about playing the guys I drafted highly. I think that you're just asking for a lot of heartache if you toggle yourself out of stuff like this. Game 8, Bulldogs Raiders. Hooker gun matchup, Bulldogs. Front rower elite matchup for the Bulldogs. That's great for Joshy Curran if he plays. Right half, great matchup. That's great for Sexton. Left half, good matchup. Good for Birdo. Lock, good matchup. It gets bad for the right winger, but ignore that. That is Jacob Carraz. He will punch his way through to some stats. Fullback, poor matchup, Connor Tracy. That's interesting for a sit start. Off the back of the high score, people will chase those points. I just proceed with caution. Tracy had some games where even with try assists and stuff, he'd gone sub 55. I'm still rostering him. I got him back, thankfully. But yeah, I'm hesitant to start him. Not so much because of the Raiders, but I have better options, and I don't think he's a 160-point scorer back-to-back, that's for sure. Maybe I'll be wrong. We'll see. Right to RF, poor matchup, which is Preston, but I'm playing Preston for sure, and that's running at Huddy Young, which is why that's poor. He's pretty solid. So, yeah, I can't start KPP over Preston. I think Preston will do enough just in base to give me 50 points. That's all I really want at that position, given the makeup and the build of my team. Dogs are dominant down their right, so with the bad matchups down their dominant side, that could balance out. It does sort of show how stingy the Raiders can be down there. But yeah, I'm firing those boys up and just see what happens with Carraz and Crichton. And with Crichton back, that should be even better for Carraz and Jacob Preston. For the Raiders, front rowers have gun matchups. Elite matchup for the lock and the right centre, Tomoko. Great matchup for the left 2RF, Huddy Young. Good matchup for the right winger. Bad matchup, left half. Tough matchup, fullback and left centre. Yeah, Raiders, whatever. You do with them as you please. Ask me questions on Twitter or in Discord if you have Raiders you need to know about. But yeah, it's all systems go on the Dogs. This one, check the questions here. I'm an idiot and didn't prep them, so I'll just pull them up right now. I will double check questions later just in case some new ones flow through later. Got 2 here, I think. Alrighty. Who would you start out of Anderson and Iongi? Oh, it's hard to start a debutant, but he does have a gun matchup. I'd probably go why? Because he's fullback only. So why are you choosing Anderson and Iongi when Anderson's centre? Maybe you've got someone you can pivot around. Probably go Iongi, just play the fullback, see what happens. Also, who decided Townsend versus A-Ray? I'd go A-Ray, kicks goals if the Broncos turn up. It's still the Titans. Yeah, I'd go A-Ray there. So Iongi and A-Ray for me, that's fine. Another VC cap decision question this week. Thoughts on who to VC out of Anderson and Lomax? It's got to be Lomax, got the matchup. Also, who to captain out of Carraz v Tracy? Mate, it's Carraz for me. I know Tracy had that game and it's good, but you hope that Lomax converts, and then if he doesn't, you hope that Carraz converts. That's just as simple as that. I just can't trust Tracy after that. Currently in Carraz cap with his form. Yeah. VC's tricky decision. I love Anderson too, don't get me wrong, mate, but I just think Lomax is a goal kicker. He does have a good matchup despite his team probably going to get pumped. I just think some guys, they're sort of matchup proofish where they just got to do 1 or 2 plays and Lomax finds his way to the ball even in tough matchups. So, and I just think you'd feel crazy if you went, for example, VC Anderson, who's going to get dropped probably next week, and then Captain Tracy, who, as I said, barely has gone over 100 this year and then had one mega game where there was a lot of luck involved and right place, right time, but he's not the be all and end all. So I just follow your top guys, Lomax, Carraz. Best of luck, mate.